Hey everyone, question for you. Have you ever asked your husband a question and got his response, and the response was a response that you knew deep down that he's lying, and that response made you feel this gut-wrenching feeling of he's lying. My intuition says something's up, which leads to that confusion, that heartbreak, and that fear. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone and you're not crazy. And this may be a very valuable training for you today. We're going to talk about 10 strategies to take if you feel like your husband's a liar, if you feel like he keeps lying to you. We'll uncover and we'll talk about, like I said, 10 steps and what to do if your husband is cheating, and you don't want to miss this. It's filled with gold. I have so many suggestions for you. And also, if you're here, big hugs. I know you're going through a lot and it can feel like things are really hopeless. But I know you go from days of I want to save my marriage, I'm not sure if I want to save my marriage, roller coasters of anger, fear, sadness. And I know you're here today because you have hope and that you want to ultimately find some strategies that'll help you save your marriage. So I want to give those to you today. I want to give you insights and strategies on how to save your marriage. And I also want to tell you, you're worthy, you're lovable, and you are enough. So I'm Beth Miller. I am a marriage coach, a trained and certified hypnotherapist, and I am here to help you on this journey of how to save your marriage after infidelity. And I use a backwards approach, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I want to get you some tangible hands-on steps that will give you a big win for today. I have a little gift for you, so stick around to the end if you have a chance. And also, if you want, send us a DM, send us a message with the word chat, CHAT, and we offer a free 15-minute call. If anyone wants specific strategies on what to do if your husband's lying, you can't rebuild trust, send us a DM. You can put it in the comments, but it's better if you send it as a DM, the word chat. And yeah, no obligation, just hop on. We'll give you free resources. We'll give you a win for that day, and off you go. We truly believe what we put out comes around in some way. We put those vibes, high vibes out there, and I know it comes back to us in some way. All right, we want to chat about your marriage, your dynamics. We'll ask you those questions and you'll walk away with a strategy. So with that said, one more favor, one more business item. If you can, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and you know what it does? It gets this out to more women like you that are in need. So play around with the algorithm a little bit. Back to today's topic, what to do if your husband's cheating. 10 steps, what to do. Comment below, give me a thumbs up if your husband's cheating, or I put a little Pinocchio nose in the, look up the emojis, little Pinocchio nose, put one of those in the comments. Because it sucks so bad. Like, the person that's not supposed to hurt you is hurting you so badly. And his lying isn't just about the betrayal. It's not just about the betrayal. It makes you question your entire reality. It's like, who is this guy? What is our marriage? What is our foundation? The need for truth, because you want to know the truth, right? It stems from your nervous system. Your nervous system's like, I'm not safe. This is scary. You don't feel grounded. It feels like you're floating a lot of times. His lying isn't just about the betrayal, because it creates this cycle for you, like massive emotional pain, because you're in the cycle of anxiety, this hypervigilance. You go looking for something and your body's already in that state of I'm going to find it. Emotional exhaustion, because you're trying to decipher, like, is he lying? Is he not lying? It's also not about the betrayal, because it keeps you stuck in such a loop of second guessing, maybe even blaming yourself. Why didn't I see the signs? Or I did see the signs. Why didn't I not do anything about those red flags? It fuels resentment. It prevents you from feeling inner peace, from even like saving your marriage, healing your marriage, because the truth is not there. His lying is a way of avoiding being accountable, and the more he lies, the harder it is to rebuild trust, right? Do you agree with me on that one? So with that said, let's talk about this. My clients ask me these questions, and then we'll get to some of the answers on what to do here. But my clients often ask me, how can I tell if he's lying or if I'm just being paranoid? Actually, right? He's been lying for so long. He's convinced you, like, told you words that you're like, you look back and you said that you were going to be more honest. You said you wouldn't talk to her again. You said you wouldn't text her, and then you do it. And so can you believe his words? So how can I tell if he's lying or am I just being paranoid? Because your brain remembers. It's like, this pattern's familiar. And so when 1 plus 1 equals 2, like, I've seen this before. This seems like it again. So it's 1 plus 1 equals 2. Like, it's got to have the same answer, right? So why does he keep lying even if he promised to change? Can I ever trust him again? Or is it time to walk away? How do you know when it's time to walk away? Is he going to forever be a liar? How do I protect myself emotionally while figuring out the truth? How do I stop obsessing over every single detail, everything he says and does? Because that's the emotional exhaustion. What does it mean if he lies about even the small things? Am I supposed to forgive? Are you supposed to forgive even if he's not being honest? Can you forgive if he's not being honest? Is there something wrong with me that I want to stay and fix my marriage with a husband who keeps lying? So let's get those answers for you today. I want to dive into this topic of what to do if he keeps lying, 10 steps. So whether it's small lies, small stuff like the little lies, like not fully maybe disclosing, like maybe avoiding, like not telling the truth. Sorry, not answering the question is also a form of lying, but often they'll put it into they'll describe it as, I'm just avoiding the answer, or avoiding answering you. So whether it's small lies or significant breaches of trust, navigating the situation requires very careful consideration and proactive steps. Like there's the methodology to this, so that you don't make things worse while he's lying and making him, it's not your fault that he's lying more, but we want to foster an environment where he then starts to feel safe to open up. So how do we do that? So I've compiled a ton of practical steps that you can implement, whether you are going into the hypnosis realm of really being to heal yourself, or you just need some practical strategies you can use today. So yeah, let's go into that today. I'll give you some practical strategies, insights, and yeah, I'm going to help you with this. I deal with this every single day. Hundreds of women I've helped heal from the betrayal trauma, and that's what matters most. Number one, it's you. You're not happy, we can take control. Like you can take control of your happiness through thought alone. And it's more than thought, it's actually the beliefs that drive the thoughts. But we'll get to that. Why can't he just tell the truth? Isn't it so simple? Why can't he tell the truth? It's so easy. But this question often reflects on the complexity of telling the truth and honesty in relationships. It has a major psychological component. It's not about you. He's not lying necessarily because he doesn't love you. There's a psychology piece within his own mind of self-preservation, trying to keep an image of who he potentially is, the fear of causing you more pain, the fear of having to admit his faults and his mistakes, his fear of being vulnerable, his fear of realizing, you know what, I need acceptance and appreciation and validation, or I have mother wounds or father wounds. It comes from this deep reluctancy of being able to really show up as who he is and own the stuff. So your husband's reluctancy to tell the truth may stem from this internal conflict and desire to protect himself from discomfort. So he's lying and keeping you in discomfort to protect his own discomfort. He doesn't want to adjust his emotions. So that can be one of the reasons why. So understanding these psychological like kind of dilemmas that he's going through can help you separate from the situation, so that everything he does, all the lies are completely personal. It's not right, it's not okay, and yeah, it's still going to hurt to have those lies. But how do we separate from that so that potentially you're not making things worse and making him feel worse? We want to make things easier for him in some ways, because it sounds so messed up, doesn't it? He's hurting you so bad. So why should you make things easy for him? But if he's really in that place where he's avoiding discomfort, we want to make things a bit more comfortable for him so he can open up. Okay, we'll get to that. So first thing, we got to neutralize your anger. It always starts with you. You're feeling really angry. He's lying to you. You've discovered your husband's lying about his whereabouts. He said he was working late. He's off doing something else. So you immediately feel this surge of anger come over you. And that anger, that cortisol, can really cloud your judgment. So we have to get that under control before you can even think about having a conversation. So neutralizing the anger is crucial. So many strategies that you can use to this one, like deep breathing, in for 4, hold, out for 4. Doing that will just, especially, okay, do this. Take a breath right now. Push your belly out, like Buddha belly, like push it right out, like you're forcing it, like almost like you have a pregnancy belly, like push it right out. When you do that, we have 5 lobes to our lungs. And when you do that, allows more oxygen to go there. So just doing this will help calm you as well. So taking a big Buddha belly breath in, hold it for 4, and out for 4. Hold for 4, and do it in, hold, and out. And that just brings up me. Notice my shoulders, how they just went like this. When we're angry, we're like, everything's tense and tight. So just doing that breath, hold, like everything exhales. So that's a really good strategy, just to neutralize that anger. We also use like hypnosis, and we can talk about that a little bit more, that really help on like releasing those undesirable emotions of anger. So we'll talk about that one later. But number 1, neutralize your anger. Number 2, do you want to hear his answers? Like, are you actually open to hearing his answers? Ask yourself if you're truly willing to hear his answers without any preconceived notions. So often wives face the challenge of being emotionally overwhelmed, full of anger, sadness, so clouded by all the lies, like sifting through the mess, right? The weeds. Will you believe him? Ask yourself, will I believe him? You have to make the choice to believe him or not believe him, especially when you're asked, or you just take the answer and you're like, okay, I choose to hear his answer. Maybe that's the belief. I choose to hear his answer today without judgment. You just take it in. You're not even going to try and analyze it if it's true or not. I hear his answer today, which then allow you to respond with a very neutral response. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I'll consider that. So will you believe him? Or are you asking this question a second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, because you want to see if he gives you the same answer? You almost want him to give you an answer like, yes, I am lying. Yes, I did message her again. Like sometimes we already have this preconceived notion of what you want as the answer. So assess your readiness to accept his response. Are you ready? Like, are you in a place where I'm going to be thankful that he's even talking to me about this and he's going to attempt to give me an answer? And if you're not prepared to believe his answers, it's not going to be productive. So approach the conversation with that open mind, that willingness to be like, okay, I'm going to accept what he says today. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to journal about it. And it has to have that calm, open mind. So you want to prepare yourself mentally for this conversation. So recognize that you're emotionally safe. I'm emotionally safe to hear what he's going to say. Check in with your heart rate if you're feeling triggered. If your heart rate is, I don't know if you have a smartwatch, but if it's over 90 beats per second, evacuate, leave the conversation. That's too high. Your heart rate's going too high at that point. Same with him. If his is too high, then there's no point having the conversation. That's a Gottman method thing. So if you want to look up the Gottman method, write down all your questions ahead of time and organize them. Write them down and say, okay, which ones do I need answered today for my healing? Which ones? Like what ones? 1, 2, 3. Or is there any here? You know what? Maybe I don't need to answer any of these, and maybe I just need to be. Maybe I don't need to ask him any more questions, and I just need to focus on myself. Or maybe there's one question you want to ask. Time and place is very important. Not before bed, not while you're in bed, but then like when else do you do it? Especially if you have busy kids. But time and place is very important, which is what a lot of like marriage coaches, well, particularly therapists, will say. It's very important to have check-in times. But what do you do in between those check-in times when you're like, there's a nagging question you have for him or something you want to say? What do you do during that time? Well, that's when you can ask for an additional check-in time, or that's when you can do some journaling and figure out, do I really need this answer today for my healing? So you want to frame your questions. Yeah, use your I statements. Frame them with your I statements. For example, I feel hurt. I feel hurt when I hear you not wanting to answer my questions. It makes me feel hurt. Instead of saying, you always lie to me. You always do this. You always do that. So I think you're not being honest with me, and I want to believe you. Can we have a conversation? So then you want to accept that you might hear things you don't want to hear. That's also the part of it. Like when he does get to a place where he might be able to finally open up, disclose more, he needs to feel safe. So you might need to accept, can I actually handle what I'm about to hear? So prepare yourself to remain calm regardless of the answers. And maybe have like a therapist there with you or someone there, or even record the conversation because you might not remember it all, or a journal or a pen. Take breaks if needed, if the conversation becomes too overwhelming. Sometimes we don't want to break from the conversation because like if I end this conversation, then maybe he'll never come back to it. But it's okay to take short breaks and let him know that you need a moment to process what you're hearing. Thank him. Gratitude's so important. Positive, negative, positive sandwich as well. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's really difficult, but I'm so happy that you're opening up, and I know we can get through this together. And then reflect on the post-conversation. So after this discussion, take some time to reflect upon it. What feelings came up? What feelings came up? What thoughts come up? What further questions do you have? Get it all on paper. Get it out of your body. The emotions that are in your body, emotion, energy in motion. We got to get it out of your body. That emotion, like sometimes it feels like anger, sadness, eats away at us. That is energy in your body. And kids have that too. That's why they have temper tantrums on the floor. It's uncomfortable what they're feeling in their body. So they need to move and they need to get it out through yelling or screaming. We want to do that in a healthy way, not an adult temper tantrum. So getting out your journal, breathing, those are some strategies. Also, we can talk a little bit more about hypnosis a little bit later, but that's what we use. We get our clients in a very, very relaxed, almost daydream-like state. It's a beautiful state where you start to feel bliss. And we let those emotions go. We let those thoughts go, and they leave us because we're like, I don't need them. They're hurting me more, keeping them in my body. When we're talking, also number 3 here, we want to really use facts on emotions. I know women, feminine, so emotional, right? So we really want to stick with the facts, logical, more masculine brain. Emotions are triggered. We call them activated emotions, which come from a trigger. Triggers can be like Christmas, like, yay, I'm so excited. That's a really great emotion. My husband's on his phone and it's dinging. That activates an emotion of like dread. So emotions are trigger specific, typically short-lived. We will not die from our emotions. They will not kill us. Over time, if you have too much of like a cortisol in your body, it can create like make you sick, your immune system lower, it can live in your tissues, it can cause joint pain, that heaviness on your chest. So we don't want that in your body, but the emotion itself, it isn't going to kill you. It's short-lived. It's like a panic attack. It's not going to kill you. You'll be able to breathe through it. It will pass. Emotions, they're specific, they're diverse, all kinds of ranges of them. They're accompanied by different facial expressions. That's how we know like the body language. tone. But facts, very objective, very to the point. Facts only change when there's new information discovered, not specific to any sort of facial expression, unless it's kind of like this. It's not like, oh, like I'm mad, sad, angry. It doesn't have a lot of change to it. So we want to stick with facts. All right, let's talk about this. So when addressing with your husband's dishonesty, it's essential to use these facts, very masculine brain, not to get too emotional because that might activate his avoidance, kind of turtling in. Many wives struggle with that challenge of separating emotions, right? Because we're very feminine. We want to feel like, but this word of like, tell me more, tell me more. Thank you for sharing that. I understand. Can you tell me a scale of 1 to 10? Like more open-ended questions are really great. You can clearly state what you know to be true without being accusatory. It might be, you may not agree, but here's the information I found. I've noticed that you told me you were late at work, but I found a receipt that you were at a restaurant at that time. And right there, that's the fact. No need to say a single thing like after that. So the factual approach reduces the likelihood of his emotional escalation and your emotional escalation. You just stated the fact. If you feel your emotions rising, that's when you have to do that deep breath, sense it, have that awareness in your body. Okay, I sense I'm getting upset. Maybe take that break, but it's hard to take that break, but you've got to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to go sideways. Prepare specific examples of facts that you do have ahead of time. Number 4, letting him know that you're hurting without blaming him. Like lying hurts, but don't blame him at this point. We don't want to blame. No one wants to be blamed because then they feel judged. So letting your husband know that you're hurt without blaming him is crucial to fostering honesty going forward. You need to be the exemplar of how you want to be treated yourself. You're going to treat him like that. So a common challenge wives face in this situation is expressing their pain without accusations and blaming. You want to blame him. You want him to hurt as much as he's hurt you, right? You want him to suffer. And that's something we need to work on within ourselves. If that's the way you're feeling, like, okay, why do I want, because that's keeping you stuck because you have anger in you. And it's like, you feel like it keeps you safe, but actually projecting it onto him isn't how you would want to, isn't how you want to be, and isn't how you want to treat somebody else. So we got to unpack that one separately, but we need to be honest about your hurt without blaming. I feel deeply hurt and confused. I feel deeply hurt and really confused when I find out things that are contradicting what I feel to be true. Done. You don't need to justify things using the words like just, should, would, could, but we don't need to say these. It's just, I feel confused when I find out things that contradict what I've seen. See how simple that is? Another strategy is to describe the impact rather than labeling him a liar. So don't call him a liar. Just, I discovered discrepancies. It makes it hard for me to trust and feel secure. Simple statements, like factual, like you're a lawyer, just say it. Not too emotional here. Before the conversation, practice what you want to say. Jot it down, bring in a notepad into your conversation with him. Number 5, this is really important. Give him time to respond. You notice how all my statements were so short there? They're just like a statement. This is what I've discovered. Tell me more. That's it. And then if he gets defensive, say, I guess trying to think of an example. If he's like, I didn't do that. I understand that your belief is you didn't do it. This is the evidence that I found. You just share it again. And if it has to be at this point, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree. And then you have to table that conversation because we want to give him time to respond, even if his response isn't much. So giving your husband time to respond promotes thoughtful conversation. It doesn't mean that you're lecturing him, that it's almost like you're a parent in the relationship, that he's getting in trouble like a principal. Not that principals do that, do they? So a common challenge wives face is the urge to demand immediate answers. We want answers so fast. But that's where surrender comes into this. Like, I surrender. I'm stepping into my worth. I'm going to calmly state how I feel, but I'm using it through facts. And I'm going to keep it very neutral, and I'm going to say it, which is then I'm not going to demand immediate answers. I'm just showing universe, I'm putting that high vibe in there that this is my worth and I can ask these questions, I can state these facts without needing a response right away, but knowing I'm speaking up for myself. I'm not silencing my voice. I'm not scared of his reaction. He may completely shut down, avoid, done. But you know what? I'm safe and I need to do this for myself. I deserve to do this for myself. If my daughter were ever in this situation, I don't have any daughters, I have 3 boys. If they were ever in that situation, how would I want them to respond to their partner? So to foster more productive conversation, explicitly let your husband know he doesn't need to have an answer right away. He He doesn't need to have an answer right away. That's hard, right? But that's giving him space, right? I understand this is a lot to process. That's something you could say. I understand this is a lot to process, and I want us to have a meaningful discussion. Take some time to think about it. We can talk again later in the week, maybe on Friday. What are your thoughts on that? So again, this approach demonstrates respect, the need to reflect, giving him space, but then also the need for some answers. So during the waiting period, that's hard, but waiting period, whether it's minutes, days, hopefully not weeks, that's when you need to manage your own emotions. And that's where this like inner work of surrender really comes in, where you're really like that activating emotion that's coming up. And so we have how our subconscious works. I still have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to get through here, and I will in a moment, but our subconscious mind is so powerful, and that's why the approach we use is very different to traditional therapy. We don't go, when we see clients, it's not like come see us for an hour once a week and then you go back home to fall back into your old patterns, habits, emotions. We support our clients every single day, and we get into the subconscious mind in that very daydream-like state where your teacher's talking, but you're I'm trying to think, like English talking about Shakespeare, and you kind of hear it, but you're off daydreaming about something else. And then you can snap right back to it when your teacher says, hey, what are your thoughts on Hamlet doing this? Or read this passage. So that daydream state is where you're accessing the subconscious mind. That's where your thoughts live. And so when we get there in a very relaxed state, we can say, go to a time you didn't feel like enough. Go to a time you couldn't trust your husband. Go to a time you felt betrayed. Go to a time you felt rejected. And all of a sudden it's like bing, 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 different images pop up. And we address those images being like, okay, I'm safe. I see that this happened in the past. I have to let this go. I need to let this go. I want to go, go, go. I want to let it go. And we work on releasing it, seeing that with empowerment, being like, that's not my reality anymore. That's not me. I don't need to be scared. You know what? I see he's changing. I see he's trying. Not enough, but he's trying. And we let that go. It's like we're letting the balloon float away. But that memory just gets stored a little bit further back. It's not in the forefront. We don't let today be informed by our past. We inform today with today's actions. And that gives us such a relief in our lives. We have these beliefs of like, in the past, he made me feel like I wasn't okay or enough, but today I am. He may not necessarily be able to handle my emotions, but my emotions are safe and I choose to express them. So we get these new beliefs that I am safe to express my feelings. I am safe to speak up, which creates all these thoughts of, yeah, I'm going to speak up for myself. Not this anxiety, not this panic of, oh, he's going to blow up or he's going to avoid me. No, it's just like, I'm going to speak up for myself, and that feels good. That's the thought. 60,000 thoughts a day. And you're just like, that's the thought that activates a really good emotion in our body. So that's what we want to do. Get you really relaxed, go to that hypnotic state, which is when we work with our clients, we support them every single day for 12 weeks, and they do 3 of these recordings per week. We tell them which ones to do. They do their hypnotherapy sessions, and it's so miraculous what happens in that time. All right, back to this. So avoiding bringing up a topic repeatedly, we want to do that. Again, we want to give them that in that waiting time to manage our emotions. And that's when the hypnosis audio tracks really help, because you're working through fear, you're working through self-doubt, you're working through patience, boundaries, holding your boundary of, I'm not going to bring this up until the waiting period's done. What within you is having trouble owning that boundary? So we work on that. This is an awesome opportunity. Everything's happening for us, not to us. So it's so important that, that waiting period, there's a lot of power, a lot of growth in that. Okay, number 6, stay firm and compassionate. Firm and compassionate, can those words even go together? Firm and compassionate. So it's a balance of this assertiveness and empathy, and that may not be, you might be more assertive or you may be more empathetic, but to combine those together, figuring out what your voice is within that. So what is your voice? Is your voice more like, I understand that everyone makes mistakes? Is that the empathy? I understand that everyone makes mistakes, and I'm here to work through this with you. Finding that voice. What is your voice? Is it loving? Is it kind? Is it, but again, empowered and assertive and confident at the same time, right? So this approach shows that while you're serious about needing change, you're also supportive of working together. Assure him that honesty may be difficult. Honesty may be difficult. And again, you might feel like you're talking to like someone who's not even absorbing it. But the more you say this, it's going to break down his story. It's going to break down his boundaries. Like we said, why does he do this at the very beginning? Why can't he tell the truth? It's because he might have this internal conflict. He might be protecting himself from discomfort. So the more that you can be like, it's okay, it's hard to be honest, we can get through this together. Take your time to think about that. Come back to me. It's not this like, you got to get this answer now, which is going to make a lot of pain happen. So I value honesty more than anything. And even if the truth is hard to hear, I promise I will listen and we'll work through this together. Things like that, so important. Okay, number 7, boundaries. But boundaries with yourself have to be set first. Trust with yourself has to be set first. I choose to trust myself today. I choose to trust myself today that it's safe to trust him today. I trust myself that I am safe to trust him today. Or boundaries. I choose to hold my boundaries because it's loving to myself. So it can be frustrating to have proof of lies, but then we want to also at the same time not have empty empty boundaries of like, if you do this again, I'm gone, but then you don't leave. And that doesn't feel good to yourself. It doesn't feel good to your marriage. You're not being true to yourself. So it's frustrating to have proof of the lies while your husband continues to deny them, which is leading to this cycle of distrust. And like, how do you find power? How do you find boundaries in that? You're lying, but you're not owning it. So I've seen messages that contradict what you told me. There's a fact. I've seen messages that contradict what you've told me, and your continued denial is damaging our trust and connection. This is what I'm seeing. And then you leave it at that. And then a lot of times simple answers are best. Like if he says, well, that's not happening. This is you trying to, I don't know, blah, 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 barf. And it's you, this is my opinion. What I see is that there's messages that are contradicting what you've told me. I value trust, and I feel like this is creating disconnect. Let's talk about this later. You can ask a couple questions and say, you know what, take the time to think about it. We'll revisit this later. So outline specific boundaries and consequences. Setting these boundaries, firmly respect yourself, firmly respect your relationship. And then my question is, can you stick to them? Can you stick to these boundaries? Because a lot of times it's like, I'm over. It's over, it's done. Or it's, you know what, I'm going to have to take 3 days, 5 days just to myself to reflect on what needs to happen. So we want to be not punitive, but at the same time, we want to be constructive. Like we got to find this balance. So I have this guide, actually. For those on YouTube, or if you want it, I'm trying to think, it's a blog, actually. It's a blog. Or is it a guide? But it's the ultimate guide to setting boundaries. If you need it, just send a message. It's like ultimate guide to hey Beth, send me the ultimate guide to setting boundaries, and I'll get that to you. And remember, put the Pinocchio nose as a comment below if your husband is a liar, if you find he's lying a lot. And if you want to have a chat, like want a specific strategy on how to overcome oh, you still there? Sorry, I had a call come through. If you want a specific strategy on how to overcome the lies, send us in the DM the word chat, CHAT, and we'll book a 15-minute call, free, get you a win out the door. Tell us about your marriage, your husband, what you're going through, and we'll give you some strategies. All right, number 8, keep the lines open without judgment. Because like I said, you might have to give a waiting period here for him to come back to you. So unresolved feelings, they can create such distance and disconnect. So we got to keep processing that. Like, what am I holding on to? What do I need validation from him for? If you were to never change, can you get rid of those feelings that are within your body? At this point, you're at a clarity, like, should I stay, should I go? And a lot of this time is for you to work on yourself because you working on yourself is going to be the catalyst for change in your marriage, which will allow you to then untriggered go to his island where he's feeling like he doesn't want to feel those big feelings. You got to work on yourself. So scheduling regular check-ins with him is also really important. Let's set aside some time every week to talk openly. So we can both, it could be like, do you want to work on rebuilding trust? Do you want to work on our communication? If so, let's set aside some time, and we can, again, and there's a framework to this, like reach out to me, but we can set up a framework for check-ins. 9, make it easy for him to be honest. That's a good one. Make it easy for him to be honest. Give him the confidence that he can be honest. Like, isn't that amazing? Like, if you could make this easy, instead of often we judge and we've hurt them a lot. And so he needs to trust you. Isn't that crazy? He needs to trust you that it's safe for him to tell you the truth, because he feels possibly guilt, shame. He doesn't want to keep hurting you anymore. And so if he has the confidence that you can handle whatever he's going to say, yeah, it might hurt, but you're going to be okay, and you know it's for the better of your marriage. So every wife wants the truth, but creating an environment where your husband feels safe to tell the truth can be hard. We have an amygdala. Amygdala is the part of the brain that involves processing all our emotions. The amygdala, it's like the emotion center. And fear lives very strongly in the amygdala, and it becomes highly activated in a person who feels threatened or fearful. So this is you and your husband. So if your husband is in a situation where he feels like he has to tell the truth and it's scary, his amygdala is firing. He's like, I need out of here. This is not safe. And so when we can create a really safe, non-judgmental environment, you can help calm his amygdala and calm your own too. So the amygdala's activity then decreases, reducing fear, making it easy for your husband to be honest and upfront without him fearing like there's going to be consequences. So low emotion brain, calm, relaxed, that the cortex, like the front brain, the higher thinking, executive functioning, thinking, planning, analyzing brain, it's on. It can talk facts. But when it's high emotion, like, you know this, it gets very cloudy. That's the fear, the anxiety, but also can be love in there too, or hate is in there when things are really intense. The cortex is disabled, and that's what can happen in limerence as well. Like, their cortex gets shut off and the other parts of their brain start to fire up that love, right? So any kind of high emotion can really disable the cortex, which has benefits sometimes. Sometimes we need to get out of our brain and we need to get into a place of surrender, peace, and love. So it does have its place. All right, number 10, getting your healing back on track. He's been lying to you for so long. So just like skip the guesswork altogether, skip the guessing game, and like get the proven strategies. You are all so smart. That's why you're watching this video, because you've watched tons of videos. You've read so many blogs. You're here. But if you're ready for that action, that step, if you want to explore hypnotherapy or hypnosis, or like our marriage saver method is phenomenal. Like we work on you to work on your marriage. It's like, who do you want to be? Because you're not her right now. You're not. And then you feel lost, you feel stuck. You're like, I want my marriage, but I need to feel like myself again. What do I want? I want this and this in my relationship. What's blocking you? And that's our job. We just get rid of those blocks. What's keeping you from feeling love, happiness, connection, feeling enough, feeling like you're not a fool? How do you do that? So what I want you to do is we can give you a structured blueprint on exactly how to do this. 12 weeks, it's intense. Clients come to us after 5 years of being stuck like this, and we can help them in a matter of 12 weeks. It's because it's daily support. Scan your brain today, scan your brain in 12 weeks. It's going to look totally different. We're unwiring to rewire so that you have neural pathways that have thoughts that drive the emotions that make you feel good, safe, calm, at peace. And yeah, if you are triggered and there's an undesirable activated emotion such as fear come in there, you know what? We can tackle it so fast because you're creating those new neural pathways. So let's create a new highway in your brain. Don't you want to just like shake your brain and be like, let's work better together? So remember, you don't have to do it alone. I'm here along with my team. We're here every step of the way. Whether you need some free advice, complimentary advice, we have that for you. Or if you're like, you know what, I'm ready for something, whether it's little or big, we have something that fits everybody, because I know you're here because you're in a lot of pain. You are enough, you're loved, and just reach out to us anytime. We've got you. So like I said, put the word chat, C-H-A-T, if you want to schedule a quick 15-minute call, or if you want some other information, we're happy to give that to you as well. So anyway, I love you all, and we'll see each other soon. Bye.